Hey everybody, welcome on back to the Anchorage, and this is the Anchorage for switched to Linux. And yeah, well, what is Switch Quest? Well, the video series produced by me here, Ivan, at the Anchorage, and it's dedicated to the channel Switch to Linux, because I'm a supporter, and I do a number of different things for that channel. I moderate chats of different types, Matrix chat, and also the YouTube, Odyssey, and Rumble chats on Thursday nights during the weekly stream, the weekly news roundup. You want to check that out. What kinds of videos do I do for Switch Quest? Stuff like that. Well, I cover topics that aren't typically covered by Switch to Linux necessarily, or I might even have some additional information or a response or clarifications of different things. That might be that kind of thing that could possibly apply to the content that Tom puts out on Switch to Linux. So myself, like I said, I'm Ivan from the Anchorage and stuff like that. And I started my channel, the Anchorage, back in March, roughly, of 2021. Right at the beginning of the coof. So there we go. Met Tom in June of 22, I believe, and as he was passing through in his van with the Van Panthers, both of them, and yeah, I do different things for him. You know, I provide announcements of videos and the streams that I do on social media and on Matrix, and moderate those chats on YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, and that, like I was saying. I do that. I do some light graphics work, like, you know, when you see these thumbnails on these videos, I do that myself using GIMP, which is a better graphics program versus, you know, Photoshop, where you have to pay for it. And then that's proprietary. GIMP is free and open source, and I think it's better. It's better functionalities. Yeah, it might be missing a function or two, but you know, for what I use it for, which is very, very minimal, works just fine for my purposes. But in either sense, and I do these videos, these Switch Quest videos, and we are going to be covering something today regarding the podcasts. And we're going to get right into it. So why don't we do that? All right. So back in earlier this year, February, we'll say. Well, yeah, it was February, but either way, we had been talking over some time, some months, about possibly releasing a podcast regarding some content, namely the weekly news roundup, which is held on Thursday nights on YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, and Twitch, and at 8 o'clock Eastern time. So make sure you show up and check it out. And I'm a moderator, and I'm an assistant for those streams and stuff like that. And what Tom does is that he wanted to release the weekly news roundup as a podcast, and then we were discussing it, and I was actually asked, "Hey, could you do a podcast too?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I could do that." And so he produces the podcast copy of the weekly news roundup stream itself. Does that? Me, I do everything else that you see. I do a podcast called Cast Quest, and I do that on all other videos, basically released videos that are put out onto YouTube, Odyssey, and Rumble, namely, because Twitch is just for the streaming, for the live streams. So we do that, and it's been about 6 months, and wanted to share kind of like, yeah, how it's going, and so I am going to be bringing us over into my analytics page on Castopod, because that's what we're doing it on. So why don't we go over to there, and I'll show you around a little bit. And this is, excuse me 1 minute, I gotta get that. I'm expecting a text to come in, so when that goes off, I'm just gonna ignore it for a moment so I can get this done. So back in February of this year, 2026, Tom and us, we'd been talking for some time, some months, about doing a podcast for the weekly news roundup, namely, and yeah, I'll get that in a second. But do a podcast for the weekly news roundup, the weekly stream, which is held on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern time on YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, and Twitch. And people have been asking for it, so we decided to go ahead and get that done. And well, Tom ultimately decided to do that, and decided on using Castopod as the application to host it on his hosting provider, and on where he can control it and be in charge of it. So did that, and the question came up, hey, would you be able to do one to me? Would you be able to do a podcast as well? I'm like, yeah. So he does podcasts for the weekly news roundup, and I do the ones for everything else called Cast Quest. Those are mine. And you can see these all out on podcast.switchtolinux.com. So I'm going to take a quick little break to check that out, and I'll be right back. Okay, Mandika has decided to, she goes again. She decided to ask me if I could happen to share a sub, because I'm going to be making a sub for lunch, and she's asking, can I have a little bit too? And I'm like, yeah, sure, that's fine. I'll get done here, I'll make it up, and I'll bring it up to you. All right, so I'm going to do that. So anyways, we're going to go out onto Castopod, which is located at Switch to Linux, podcast.switchtolinux.com. This is the administrative side, so I want to show you what I actually look at for, what are they? They are analytics, essentially in-app analytics. So why don't we go take a look at that? And this is what it is. So this is what I look at when I'm in here. So this is Cast Quest. This is mine. And, episode daily downloads. How's it looking? Well, excuse me, since June 15th, for each day, I can just go to the thing there. Let's see, for the 14th, I had 128 downloads. My greatest amount is 169 over the past 6 months. So, and that was on July 20th. We're now into August. So, if I look at today, I've had, as of August 8th, or August 8th, all right, whatever. It says 1. Now, the episode monthly downloads, it's up over 700. 720 there, 724 there. So we've had 724 downloads of my particular podcast, for the month of July. Could look at other ones. I haven't navigated through here all that much, but 724 during the month of July. That's the most amount in the 6 months for my particular podcast. So, and then of course down here you got the daily used bandwidth in megabytes. And if you look between this one up here and this one down here, they just kind of align with each other, for the number of downloads and such. What do we got here? I can look at the individual bandwidth that was used for the downloads, if I would so wish. But I'm not concerned about bandwidth necessarily. It's just the number of downloads, which are the upper two. And there we go. And what I do with this is I'll actually take a screenshot of this. I'll crop it out a little bit, and then I'll send it over to Tom. And I do that once a week. I got to do this week, so I haven't done that yet. So, yeah, so that's what we've got going on with that. And there we go. So we're doing very well. It's not a humongous podcast with thousands upon thousands of downloads or even listens or things of that sort. But, we're, in the big picture, it's a small channel, and we're doing what we can to help people get the content that they want. Now, of course, all these videos are on the content that Tom produces for his videos, and I just take the videos and I just convert them into podcast editions, and I upload those to onto podcast.switchtolinux.com for people to check out. So I highly recommend that if you're a podcast kind of person, give it a think about it. and decide if you want to. It's great. They're great for when you just want to listen to it, or on your lunch break, or a break, or in your car, out on a jog or a run or a walk, just chilling on the patio in your lounger chair or whatever you want to do. So there we go. I highly recommend doing that. And be sure to check out the Weekly News Roundup live stream on Thursday nights. And I'll put the link to Tom's channel down below. So thank you very much for coming along. And Skál, and we'll talk to you soon.